We found this abandoned Mercedes left in the basement of a factory, but the only way to get to it was by taking an elevator and searching through the dark.
All right, so we were brought to this Mercedes parts warehouse where we were told that there's a classic Mercedes that's been here for the last 10 years or something. So we're taking the elevator down to the basement floor where the car is. I guess right now we're waiting for the power to get turned on, so we got flashlights to see where we're going, but we gotta find it.
Holy crap, there's a lot of stuff in here.
Oh, there's the Mercedes parts.
Oh my God, there's way more than I thought.
Holy. There's 30 plus doors. There's 4 190 SL hoods, and then doors for apparently every Mercedes ever made.
Dude, there's so much.
Is this it right here?
That's gotta be.
No, that's not the one that he sent us pictures of.
The one we're looking for is 4-door.
This one's
Nah,
jacked
there's
up.
another one back there.
That's gotta be it. Wow.
Dude, what is this thing again? I don't even know.
300D. Dude, this thing is
bold.
nice. It is big.
It's
what year
huge.
did he say it was? I think it's a 1962? 1963 100D.
Wow.
He said he's gonna turn on the lights here in a moment, but I don't know if he hit the brake yet. We could try the switch. There they are. I think one does the garage door. That's not it.
Hey, let there be light.
It looks like a mobster's car.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
This is huge for 1960. I guess we'll unlock this garage door and turn the wheel and hopefully be able to clear it. If not, back it up and get it outside. There's a ramp there and we'll back the trailer up real quick and load it up.
Yeah.
So we threw some wheel dollies under the car because there's no other way we'd be able to get this out of the garage door. And with a lot of pushing and pulling and struggling, we were able to eventually get it out. This was probably the heaviest car we've ever dealt with. But for the question of the video, leave your answers in the comments below. When you look at this car, who do you think a prime person to sit in the back of it and get driven around in it would have been? I'm thinking famous people from back in the 60s or 70s. But if you guys have someone that comes to mind, let us know who it is.
So after getting the Mercedes back to the shop, I did a little research and found out some pretty interesting facts about this particular model of Mercedes. In this case, the 300D was created as a competitor against Rolls-Royce, where it competed both in price and luxury, but also was better in performance. So this car was the top of the line Mercedes that was available at that time period and is pretty much considered like the S-Class of that time period, 1958 to 1962. They only made 3,077 of these, I believe. I think the chassis is the W189 chassis, if I'm not mistaken. We've done a lot of Mercedes. None are this big. When you're standing next to it, it seems as if it's the size of a F-150. It's probably 19 to 20 feet long. It's absolutely huge, but again, the styling cues are very Rolls-Royce. It just exudes luxury.
Here under the interior of the Mercedes, it is typical Mercedes where everything is beautiful, elegant, and really well made. The only problem that I always have with older Mercedes, this happens with a lot of older vehicles, but especially with Mercedes, is the carpet doesn't do so hot over time. All the other materials do pretty good, but this always seems to start fraying apart. So with that, I'm gonna show you the back seat and show you some of the other cool features of this interior. So this back seat is absolutely ridiculous. If I lay all the way back, I can't even touch the front seat. And this beautiful, beautiful big window line, it gets even bigger. Pop this guy out, and you have this absolutely massive and beautiful open area to be cruising around in. This is just incredible. I've never sat in a car that felt like this. So with all that said, I'm gonna get out of the car and we're gonna start getting this thing cleaned up.
So we're gonna start by washing the exterior, beginning with the spiderweb covered wheels, and we're gonna take the hubcaps off so we can clean underneath them, then put them back on to make sure everything is nice and detailed. And now we're gonna get this thick layer of dust sprayed off the car. And now we're gonna clean behind the gas door, and if you look on the door, you can see that this car actually has a lock. And the reason why they have that is because back in the day, people would actually steal and siphon gas from other people's cars, so they had to add locks to them to make sure that didn't happen. And now while we're cleaning the engine, we're gonna keep in mind that later in the video, we were told that this car may run, so we're gonna get it nice and clean so we don't have to work on a disgustingly dirty engine.
All right, so when we were washing the car, we realized that there is a ton of sap deposit all over the hood and probably all over the roof of the car. Before we go ahead and iron and clay the car, I figured it'd be a good idea to use a plastic razor, and we're gonna scrape off the sap. Now, the reason why I don't just use sap remover with a microfiber towel, you do have to spray a lot onto the vehicle. You have to let it kind of break down that top layer of sap, and then you continuously have to rub it with a microfiber, and that will actually scratch the car more than just using this plastic razor to knock off the top of the sap, and that way you can come back with the solution and wipe off the rest. It does actually a lot less damage than rubbing it with the towel for that long. So that's my plan of action now. I'm gonna knock them all off and then wipe it all down and we'll get to the clay.
And now moving to the interior of the car, we're gonna pull the seats out first and then see what's in the trunk because there might be some goodies.
What's behind door number one? It's
Nothing.
what? It's a really nice trunk though.
It is very nice.
Look at this. You do not see typical like paneling like that in a car this old, dude.
That's true, especially in the trunk. I wish this thing had luggage. Some OE luggage for this would be really freaking cool.
Yeah.
What is that?
There's a note.
To my long lost lover, war has wedged us apart. I am in love with the milkman.
That's a really interesting trunk though. This is cool.
Huge. You could definitely fit a dead body. I mean, groceries.
This could hold a lot of groceries.
Or
this
a Tommy gun.
This is
or
a
groceries.
Costco kind of car, you know? You could go there and pick up a lot of stuff.
And we're gonna do the seats really quickly now, so later when we put them back in the car, they're completely dry of solution and we can apply our leather conditioner and make them soft again. And while we're at it, why not touch up the rusted oxidized metal too?
All right, now that the seats are out of the Mercedes, we are gonna take a look at this carpet. So this mat's actually, I believe, out of a little bit of a newer Mercedes. It's pretty nice and we can clean this up. But the rest of these mats have seen better days. These we have to be very, very careful with. As you see, it's like fraying almost everywhere, which means if we try to clean this really heavily, either with vacuum, Tornador, extractor, we're gonna cause a lot of damage to these mats, and I'm not sure what the collector wants to do, if he's gonna have these reupholstered or remanufactured or whatever. So what we're gonna do, these old Mercedes have these little button clips, so you just pop these out and they all just slide right out. This is actually a pretty interesting design, how this goes over like that. It has these nice little leather backings. But again, this is just a little too far gone for us to do any real work on it without just literally destroying it. So just so you guys really can see what I'm talking about, you can see all this fraying here, all over this carpet panel, and then what happens is the underlayment just gets annihilated over time, and there's really no way to bring this back without replacing it.
So the way that we're gonna clean these is by using compressed air at a distance. We're not getting too close to the mat, that way it keeps it intact. And then using our solution on it and then dabbing it away with a microfiber towel just to make it a little bit more sanitized. And we're not just gonna put the carpets back in without vacuuming the floors first. Another surprisingly easily missed spot is up behind the seat, so we made sure we vacuumed that and we wiped it down. And then we moved on to the gauges and then the steering wheel to get those all nice and clean. And I love this cute little vent. It has a little knob that turns and you can open and close it. So I made sure to polish that up and it made a night and day difference.
So there's a lot of different levels of paint. Some's new, some is old, and it's hard to try and figure out the best plan of action in order to make it blend in with the parts that have been repainted. In this case, I've already polished out this quarter panel, and it actually does blend into this door really well, but there's a lot of issues as far as this area right here, and I'll show you exactly. So we have our alcometer, it's our paint depth gauge. So this has again been repainted and it's showing 240 microns. Let me show you how big 240 microns actually is. This is the test strip that they send with the paint depth gauge that shows you, exactly what 124.6 microns is. That's how thin your car's paint is. In most cases, most manufacturers paint about 125 or 5 mils of paint, and that's how thin your paint is. When we polish, we take away 10 microns. So an extremely small amount of paint is being removed. When we walk around the rest of the Mercedes and we test spots that haven't been repainted, again, this is showing 240 microns. This panel right here is showing 70. And if we go to this spot that you can see right here where there's some kind of damage or some kind of body prep that didn't go well, if we measure that, 60, 30. It basically means that there's no color paint left in that area. And we're gonna have to be careful when we polish to not blow through and go all the way down to primer or bare metal. And right here you can see that there was a tape line here where they painted this back of the roof and left this part of the roof as is. And you can see a very definitive line and then sanding marks. My goal is to try and blend that out so you don't see it as prominently. It's going to show no matter what, but we can make it look a little less noticeable.
And last but not least, for the final touches, we'll go ahead and dress the tires, which I always recommend doing because it makes the car look really good. And then also dress the seats to make them soft like I mentioned earlier in the video, and the car was good to go. But thank you guys for watching the video, and after the final B-roll, we tried to get it started.
All right, we're back here in the Mercedes. I have it fueled up and I think it's ready for us to try to start it. But I really wanted to show, this has a very interesting starting pattern. You flip the key all the way over. That's the fuel pump you're hearing now. And you take it into neutral, and it's a push to start, and we'll see if it gets started. Give it another go. Oh yeah, dude, the choke, it starts right up.
Easy peasy, baby. Dude, this has to be one of the oldest air ride systems ever.
Yeah, it moves it for about an inch.
That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty nuts. If you guys like this video, please hit like. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.